My name is Dr. Michael Dennis Casey, born 1952, Alexandria, Virginia, Alexandria Hospital, located on Duke Street. Um, how's my family connected? My family goes way back to early, probably the 1700s. My family majority of my family are from Seminary. And if you ever ventured out to the West End, where you have Fort Ward, my great grandfolks they lived on the fort, helped build the fort. They also worked at the Theological Center, Episcopal, and we lived out there. For me, I lived out there until 1963, and we were one of the first families, besides my two cousins, Bradby and Belts, to integrate Minnie Howard Elementary School. Then we moved to downtown to Alexandria, to the south side of Alexandria, where we were the first, along with Ray Morton and Avery Morton, to integrate Robert E. Lee Elementary School that's located on Fayette and Jefferson Street, which is now I guess it's the Alexandria Recreation Department. Connected with this city because I love the city. I not only love the city, but I grew up, played sports for the city of Alexandria, in the Hall of Fame of Alexandria, of T.C. Williams High School. Served on a number of boards in Alexandria, the Hopkins House Community Board member. Also served as the chair of the Scholarship Fund of Alexandria. Served in the school system, still in the school system, for over 34 years, giving back as a administrator and as a teacher. Like I said, grew up, came out of T.C. Williams High School, and went on to the University of Maryland, Eastern Shore, where I'm also in the Hall of Fame of basketball down there, first historical black college to play in the NIT and nation leading scoring team at that time. And when I came back, I went to South America for a year or two, and I came back to the city and decided to do some work and try to learn more about my roots, about my family. And my family roots are the Adams. Adams are on my mother's side, on my grandmother's side, and the Caseys on my father's side. Let me just explain that. The Adams were a prominent family in Seminary. They, along with my grandfather, were the founders of Oakland Baptist Church, which is next to T.C. Williams. If you probably already heard about the movie, Remember the Titans, that school was called T.C. Williams. And the church they founded is still called Oakland Baptist Church. The rest of my relatives lived where T.C. Williams, the original T.C. Williams, was located, but now it's a parking lot. But there was a school before that, and I think the school was run by the Woods family. That was the first school located on that establishment. Eminent domain came in 1950, started 59, 60, and majority of those people had to move out. And then some of the folks moved back behind T.C. Williams, called Woods Place. On the other side of the road on King Street, majority of those folks were my relatives. There were the Belts, there were the Wanzers, there was also the Adams, on down the line, the Butlers. Okay? And when I grew, going back a little bit, just thinking back how things shaped me, seminary shaped me because we had a lot of close-knit families. You could leave the doors open at your family's home, and no one would come in there and take anything or bother you. Our home was located at 1600 West Braddock Road. We more or less call it the black, excuse the expression, White House, because we lived on the other side, which was across from Blessed Sacrament School, where my father worked for about 50 years, with the famous Father Quinn at Blessed Sacrament. And I grew up there, learned my roots there, learned how to navigate through seminary, on the other side of seminary, where it would be rite of passage for us. If you were to go to the church where Oakland Baptist was located, and we had a storm drain, it was a tunnel that you could walk from. This is for mostly everybody in seminary who was the male. You would have to walk underground from there. So I'm going to give you the idea. That's where the church is located. It is also where T.C. Williams is located. It also used to be a sandwich shop there, and you would come out in Chickapin. And so every young man who lived in seminary had to go through it by yourself or with someone. I mean, it was a nice idea for rite of passage, but it also was crazy because if you had a great storm, it would have did some damage to us. So that was some things. And how can I say, the difference between seminary and Alexandria is it's real. Being that I was in seminary and had my years there going to school at Lowes Crouch Elementary School, I lived 2 blocks from Minnie Howard, but I would have to catch a bus and come all the way down to 6 or 7 miles to Lowes Crouch. That was kind of insane, but that's the way things were. It was no integration at that particular time. And once integration came in, like I stated earlier, we integrated Minnie Howard, and then our family moved down to the south side of Alexandria. And we went to attended Robert E. Lee Elementary School, which was pretty tough. You only had 4 blacks and like 500 or 600 white kids going there. So if you wear my shoes, it was pretty tough. But as my mother, who was a civil rights person, she made sure that the principal at Robert E. Lee at the time was Mrs. Funkhauser, and Mrs. Funkhauser had mentioned to her that they didn't want these kids coming there. Why don't we go back down to Lowes Crouch? And my mother told her, no, we're not doing that. Both of my sons, they live a block away from the school. You want them to go across Patrick Street, which is 4-lane highway, and they will definitely get hit. Funny thing about it, later on, about 5 or 6 years later, I got hit on Patrick Street and when I was going to TC. So I personally like to give back, and that's why me personally, got into the educational part, because I lived all over the place, lived in New Jersey, lived in Plattsburgh, New York, Syracuse, New York, lived in South America for a while, but then until I put my roots down to come back, and I used to work for the American National Red Cross, not local, which is located 2 blocks down from me. It's called the Eastern Field Office, and I used to be a disaster specialist where I traveled all over the eastern part of the country. When you had tornadoes, hurricanes, I would go down there and do fundraising, provide shelters for the people who were evacuated. We're more or less like the firemen. We were going in while everybody was coming out. We tried to get them back to normalcy and whatever. So, food wagons, different things of this nature. And I did that for 12 years. And then after a while, I decided I wanted to go back to school, and I wanted to give something back to Alexandria. So that's why I went back to school. Even though I had a business administration license, I went back and got a master's in special education from George Mason University, got my administrative license from the University of Virginia, got my doctorate from Southeastern Virginia, Nova Southeastern, which is located in Fort Lauderdale University. And I'm about ready to retire, about ready to give back to the community as much as I can. I'm in different organizations. I'm a life member of Kappa Alpha Psi. I'm also a Mason, 33rd degree Mason. I'm also a life member of the NAACP, not local and national. I'm also a life member of the Urban League, local and national. And I believe in giving back to this community. And majority of people know my family, and I'm love coming down here, rubbing elbows with some of the folks I grew up, but also understanding that we need to tell a story about what not only just whites have contributed to Alexandria, but what the blacks have contributed and Hispanics have contributed to Alexandria. I think once we start doing that, we can bridge that gap for getting along with one another and working with one another to make Alexandria the best city, if not already the best city in the United States.